Shri Caritamrita ki, Shri Gauranta ki, Shri Gopal ki, Janita Gaura Premanande. Сейчас хотели курс Englands. We'll have lecture in English. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya
Jaya Jaya Sri Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
So you're warm welcome. On Sundays, we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a book that describes the pastimes and philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we are studying Adi-lila, second chapter. Verse 21st. Adi-lila kaksi. This is in Sanskrit language. Tamimam mahamantram sharira bhajam Hridi Hridi Dishitam Atma Kalpitanam Pradipurisham Eva Nekhandikam Ekam Samadhi Samadhigat Tasmi Vidbhuta Vedam Oha. Synonyms. This it after him. This. Aham. I. Ajam. The unborn. Sharira Bhajam. Of the conditioned souls. Of the conditioned souls endowed with bodies. Hridi in each of the hearts. Dishtitam situated. Atma by themselves. Kalpitanam which are imagined. Pratidrisham for every eye. Iva like. Na eka dha one. Arkam the sun. Ekam one. Samadhipata one who has obtained. Asmi I am. Vibhuta removed. Veda moha whose misconception of duality. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada Ki. Translation. Grandfather Bhishma said, as the one son appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as own servants. Differently represent Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. Perfect. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.42 was spoken by Bhishma Deva, the grandfather of the Kurus, when he was lying on the bed of arrows at the last stage of his life. Arjuna, Krishna, and numberless friends, admirers, relatives, and sages had gathered on the scene as Maharaja Yudhishthira took moral and religious instructions from the dying Krishna. Just as the final moment arrived for him, Bhishma spoke these words while looking at Lord Krishna. Just as the one son is the object of vision of many different persons, so the one partial representation of Lord Krishna, who lives in the heart of every living entity, as Paramatma, is a variously perceived object. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as a localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of God. Bhishma knew the Super Soul to be a partial expansion of Lord Krishna, whom he understood to be the Supreme Unborn Transcendental Form. Verse again. Tamimamaham sharirabhajam hridi hridi dishchitam atmakalpitanam pratridisham iva naithadhakaram ekam samaditosmi vidhutabeda moha. Translation. Grandfather Bhishma said, As one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cham Shri Rupam Sagrajataham Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Jivam Adam Savajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padaham Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. I would like to read the purport which Prabhupada wrote to that particular verse. Lord Shri Krishna is one absolute supreme personality of Godhead, but he has expanded himself into his multi-plenary portions by his inconceivable energy. The conception of duality is due to ignorance of his inconceivable. The Lord says that only the fool to be a mere human being. Such foolish men are not aware of his inconceivable energies. By his inconceivable energy, he is present in everyone's heart, as the sun is present before everyone, all over the world. The Paramatma, future of the Lord, is an expansion of his plenary portions. He expands himself as Paramatma in everyone's heart by his inconceivable energy, and he also expands himself as the glowing effulgence of the Brahmajyoti by expansion of his personal glow. It is stated in Brahma Samhita that the Brahmajyoti is his personal glow. Therefore, there is no difference between him and his personal glow, Brahmajyoti, or his plenary portions as Paramatma. Less intelligent persons who are not aware of this fact consider Brahmajyoti and Paramatma to be different from Krishna. This misconception is completely removed from the mind of Bhishma Deva, and he is now satisfied that it is Lord Sri Krishna only who is all in everything. This enlightenment is attained by the great Mahatmas or devotees, as it's stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, that Vasudeva is all in everything, and that there is no existence of anything without Vasudeva. Vasudeva, or Lord Krishna, is the original Supreme Person, as now confirmed by Mahajana, and therefore both the neophytes and the pure devotees must try to follow in his footsteps. That is the way of the devotional line. The worshipable object of Bhishma Deva is Lord Shri Krishna as Partha Saradhi, and that of the gopis is the same Shri Krishna in Vrindavana as the most attractive Shyama. Some intelligent scholars make a mistake that the Krishna of Vrindavana and that of the Battle of Kurukshetra are different personalities. But for Bhishma Deva, this misconception is completely removed. Even the impersonal subject of destination is Krishna as impersonal Jyoti, and the yogi's destination of Paramatma is also Krishna. Krishna is both Brahmajyoti and localized Paramatma. But in Brahmajyoti or Paramatma there is no Krishna or sweet relations with Krishna. In his personal future, Krishna is both Partha Saradhi and Shyamasundara of Vrindavana. But in his impersonal future, he is neither in the Brahmajyoti nor in the Paramatma. Great Mahatmas like Bhishma Deva realize all these different features of Lord Sri Krishna, and therefore they worship Lord Krishna, knowing him as the origin of all futures. The story that this verse was spoken by Bhishma Dev just in the end of Battle of Kurukshetra. Actually, Battle of Kurukshetra is completely settled. And the challenge which is Krishna is facing, that Maharaj Yudhishthir, who is a personification of Dharma, he says that I don't want to rule the kingdom. All this blood, all this suffering, all the people who were killed is not worth it. I'm not worth it to enjoy the kingdom. And Krishna had a great challenge to convince him, Maharaj Yudhishthir, to take up the kingdom, because somebody have to rule. In that case, it was the ruler of whole world, the emperor. In case of Arjuna, it was a relatively easy task because they're equals and they're friends. But in terms of Yudhishthir, Shishigor and Taiki, it was more difficult task because Yudhishthir, he is more senior than Krishna, and Krishna, as the most perfect follower of Dharma, he couldn't do that. He couldn't just give him another Bhagavad Gita. He has to figure out something, some way, how to convince Yudhishthira to accept the throne. So that's what happened. Krishna, after Yudhishthira was saying, I don't want to rule, it's so horrible, we sent so many people, we killed so many people, and so much sin is committed, I don't want to rule, I don't want to enjoy on the cost of others. And then Krishna didn't say anything. He just said, come with me. I will show you something. They went back to Battle of Kurukshetra with Bhishma Dev. And Bhishma Dev, he was there in his own ecstasy. Kevalananda Kandam, this spiritual life actually is full of bliss. But for Bhishma Dev, this Ananda was different. He was lying in the bed of arrows, as it described with Mahabharata. There were so many arrows that even you cannot put even one finger between, or two fingers between the arrows. It was so tight. And still he was there on this bed, surrounded by all the great rishis, all the great kings who came to greet him. And Krishna himself came with Yudhishthira. And Bhishma Dev spoke, we can find it in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the moral and dharmic instructions to Maharaj Yudhishthira. And the situation of Bhishma Dev is not, if he studied more, he was not just affectionate and loving grandfather of the Pandavas and Kurus, but due to providence, he chose the wrong side. He chose to fight against his most beloved Pandavas, against Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev, and all others, their alliance. And he chose the side. He knew that they are demons. He knew they are against devotees. He chose the wrong side. In his life, he had many actually difficult choices he had to make. Like when his father decided that he wanted to marry one fisherman, beautiful daughter, while being already in advanced age, Bhishma Dev asked the fisherman to give his daughter to his father to be married. And the fisherman, he was special, not ordinary. He said, yes, it's very good proposal, but I don't want that my daughter become a subservient to the main queen, because there already was a queen Bhishma Dev's father had. So he said, I want that my daughter become the main queen. And then the father said, yes, I accept that. But then he said, but I don't want that, and I also want that the children of my daughter, they become next king, the son. And he told to Bhishma Dev, because, if you have children, then my daughter children will not become kings. So Bhishma Dev said, I will not gonna rule. Don't worry, I'm not gonna rule. So after my father passed away, I'll not become the next king. And Bhishma said, yes, I understand that. It's very good that you promise that, but what about the children of yours? If you have children, even if not the ruler, because you're the grandson, your children they become the next emperor, the next king. He was very kind of little bit Vaishya mentality, really looking for profit. This fisherman, very, very smart. So he said, I want that the children of my daughter, they will become the rulers. So Bhishma Dev, to please his father, analyze his father material desires actually, but to please him, because it's dharma of the son to please the father. So he said this horrible Brihat Vrata. He said, I will never get married. I will never have children. So he took a vow of brahmacharya. And the demigods have been in fear and in jubilation simultaneously. So immediately drums from the heavens start to play, and the shower of flowers start to fall in from the sky. But still, Bhishma Dev, he chose the wrong side. He had this difficult choice that he made. Another he had to make when Draupadi was stripped naked in this famous gambling match between Kurus and Pandavas, when Duryodhana cheated Maharaj Yudhishthira, cheated all his kingdom, all his possessions, cheated his whole life, and ultimately cheated his wife, Draupadi. And Bhishma Dev, he was there in assembly, and Draupadi, she was one after another. She was addressing different great personalities, Dhritarashtra and other seniors, Vidura. Vidura spoke out. He spoke the truth, but he couldn't do anything because he was just a subordinate. But Bhishma Dev, actually, he could do. He was most senior in the assembly, but he was looking down. He was looking at the side. He wasn't sure what should be done, because is quite complicated, because in a way it's really wrong that we strip naked a chaste woman in front of this assembly. It's very much wrong. But in the same time, your husbands, they become slaves of Duryodhana, and they sold you out. So now this most chaste and beautiful Draupadi, she became a property of Duryodhana. So she is a property, so what is the right thing to do? Should it be allowed or not? So he was complex and concerned, and he chose to be silent. So he had these difficult choices in his life. And Krishna, we know that Krishna ultimately arranged the battle of Kurukshetra. It was his arrangement to kill all the demoniac kings of the world. And Krishna could have just used his authority as a god and say to Yudhishthira, come on, you listen to me. I'm Bhagavan. You should take a throne. But foreseeing what conversation could be, Krishna didn't do that, because otherwise Yudhishthira could say that, oh, you have a personal interest in that. So that's why he brought him to Bhishmadev. And Bhishmadev, he was explaining to Maharaj Yudhishthira what is dharma. Even in his own life, he was following perfectly dharma, but he chose the wrong side, and he was also choose to Draupadi. And what his vow was, he vowed that he will serve the throne. Whoever owns the throne will be, he will serve it. And the problem, what happened to Bhishmadev, as our acharyas explained, that he was polluted by unoffered food. Because one time, sinful Duryodhana, he tried to please Krishna. And he said, Krishna, you come to my palace, I made a wonderful feast for you. You come and I'll feed you. And Krishna said, no. There's only two, I only eat in two occasions. When I'm hungry, or when somebody offers me something with love, I accept. He said, I'm not hungry. And you're not offering me anything with love, Duryodhana, because you're against my devotees, against Pandavas. I will not accept. So he went instead for, which make Duryodhana very angry. He went to his minister Vidura, went to his house, and Vidura was in so much ecstasy. So he was offering Krishna bananas. He was taking banana peel out, taking banana, but in ecstasy that Krishna came to his house, he was throwing the banana itself into garbage and giving his banana peel, banana cover. And Krishna was happily eating that because it's offered with love. But Bhishmadev, he was eating bread in the house of Duryodhana, who was a demon. And it was unoffered food because he was not a devotee. It was bhog, wasn't prasadam. So our Acharyas explained the consciousness of Bhishmadev, he was polluted in a way that he was eating food. It's one explanations. But still he was teaching dharma to Yudhishthira. And he said, Yudhishthira, you complaining to Brahmanas, you complaining that, oh, this world is unfair, I have to kill so many people, my whole life was so spoiled. But look at me, I'm here on a bed of arrows, and I'm dying, and I lose all my reputation as a great warrior and great Mahajan. He's one of the Bhishmadev, he is considered one of the 12 Mahajans, authorities on devotional service, and explained in 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this list of great authorities on devotional service. try to find the verse. Swayambur Naradash Sambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlada Janako Bhishmo Balir Vyayastikir Vayam Dvada Shaite Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Vata Guhyam Vishuddham Durbodham Yam Gnatvam Ritam Mashnute. Lord Brahma, Bhagavan Narada, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlada Maharaja, Janaka Maharaja, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaja, Shukadeva Goswami, and Yamaraj. They know the real religious principles. So this is he was one of the Mahajans, authorities of devotional service. And he was saying, you see, I lost my reputation. And till now, still people in India, and those who know the script, Bhishma said that he accepted this for the bread, for the food, because he was given food. He had a salary. Because he was serving the throne, he accepted the wrong side because of political reasons, not because he actually wanted to be on the side of Duryodhana, but he accepted that. So he was telling to Yudhishthira, look at me, what happened to me, what dharma, following the dharma make to me, what is this fairness is? Is it fair? What do you think? He explained to Yudhishthira Maharaj that Krishna is always arrange things in the best way, and he always works for best welfare of all living beings. Krishna himself says, Suhridam Sarva, the parent of all living entities, and he is the best wisher. And it's also funny that Krishna himself says that devotees are Suhridam Sarva Dehinam. They're of all the living entities, devotees are their friends. And once Srila Prabhupada was given a class, and he asked his followers, his disciples said, so, scripture said that devotees are the best friends of the living entities. So, could you help people? Could you relieve them from suffering? Answer me. Could you devotees, can you release people of their diseases, of their death, and their distresses? Could you do that? And the answer was, no, we couldn't do that. We cannot free people. How you can be a friends of living entities? And followers of Prabhupada, they were puzzled. Because scripture said that devotees are the friends of all living entities, but actually we cannot help people in practicality. What we can do to them? We cannot save them from death. We cannot save them from disease and from different anxieties, different troubles, which people have unlimited number. But Prabhupada explained that Krishna is a Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He is a friend of all living entities. He is well-wisher, and he can save people from all the troubles, from the deaths, from all the fears and all diseases, from everything. But if you devotee, if you tell others that Krishna is a true friend, then you become their true friend. So this is the duty of devotee to tell everybody that Krishna is our dear Mother. And in this way, we can also become a friend of all living entities. We are like, if you know what is franchising? Like we have this big company and they have their name, but if you're a very small person, but you make agreement with this big company, you'll not advertise any particular company now, but you take the name of that company, you can work as part of this company, but you're not actually a company. So I'm saying we're not friends and we're not benefactors of living entities, but if you act on behalf of Krishna, if you tell others that Krishna, he can help you. So in this way we can help others. And Krishna, he explained who is his devotees. He said they are equal to everybody. He said, as I'm equal to everybody, my devotees also everybody. Nirapeksha. And there's different levels of how we can be equal. There's this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Vidya vina sampane brahmane gavihastini shunichava sapakicham pandita samadarshinaha. So the truly learned sages, they see equally the learned brahmana, the shudra, the untouchable, the dog and dog eater. And it's very easy to see equally everybody if you hate everybody. It's very easy. You just hate everybody. So somebody can see everybody as a dog, so he can see equally everybody. But this is not so high level, because actually we should learn to see everybody as living entities who have a soul, and actually we should learn to see the side of everybody and see everybody as a soul, whatever body is. And this equal to everybody, it also means to equal to, because Krishna himself, he's equal to all the living entities, but he's also, it means that he's not taking his own interest above others' interest. And he also teaches that Vaishnava is the same. He's equal to everybody, but it also means that such a devotee, he's not making his own agenda, his own desires, more important than others. It's quite a high level. In 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Nirapeksha Muni. Muni means that he is the one who is really deeply seeing the nature and can extract the truth from everything. Like there's the story of Avadhuta Brahmana, this saint who was learning from others, who was learning from different things and different people and actions in this world. And another quality of the devotee, as Krishna explained, that he is shanti. He is very peaceful. But how this shanti, how it's achieved? That when it's, again, Bhishmadev explained to Yudhishthira that when we understand that Krishna is in control of everything, and actually that all this all these obstacles and all that unfairness which happens, so-called unfairness, all these troubles which happens in our life, actually it's all because of needs. That's how the sober person, and actually more advanced person, he sees that actually it's a question of how I relate to what happens in my life. And even higher understanding that actually I need the sublime knowledge, spiritual knowledge, to actually see in proper perspective what actually happens to me. It's not only my own deeds in this life, but it's also my deeds from the previous life. And even deeper, the challenges in our life is actually meant for us to understand that this world is a temporary place. It's actually like living entity and material world, they're incompatible. Do you understand the word? Incompatible means you cannot actually mix them together. It's impossible. Like we can have a chemical, scientific proof of that. You take an oil and try to mix it together, and you can put some soap inside even and try to mix it very nicely. And for some time it looks like it's just one substance. But if you just wait after some time, water and oil, they always separate from each other. You always see clearly this is oil and this is water. So in the same way, this material existence is incompatible with living entities. So the teaching is that we understand that this world is temporary, it's not meant for us. And all these Because this world actually, it's anitya. It means it's not eternal, it's anatma. It's without life. Shishigoro Daiki. And it's dukkha. It's full of suffering. Usually without spiritual understanding, people tend to blame others on their mistakes in life. In especially, oh, it's my neighbor. It's all because of him. I have such a bad life. Or it's the government. Or it's this country where I live in. Or this horrible weather. Now it's nice. But let's see after a few months how people will speak. And actually, Shraddha phase is very much important. That Shraddha actually modifies our vision of this world. As Jiva Goswami he explained that it's according to how devotee sees what kind of faith he has. His faith is based on lust, based on greed. He sees whole world as a place for his enjoyment. His whole this world, it will satisfy me. Whole universe. Just he in this perspective. But he has faith in Krishna everywhere. This whole is meant for Krishna's pleasure. So whole universe becomes a form of Krishna for him, not a form of place and facility for my enjoyment. Actually, we seek Ananda. So to really appreciate Ananda, to really go to that, these sufferings happen in our life. And Vaishnava, he actually spiritual, really advanced spiritual seeker, which we should become. He doesn't see suffering as something bad, but he sees it as positive thing. He said, yes, I accept. This is a good lesson for me. Takes it positively. And the question is how we relate to that, how we see that. Do we have a vision? See to the eyes of the scriptures. That's why we should study scriptures and study the words of spiritual master to really learn to see things from proper perspective. In this way, we become muni, we become very spiritual intelligent, so we can also extract truth from everything else which is around us. Our intelligence becomes so sharp, just go inside this different things of this world, and we can see truly and deeply what is the meaning. What is the message? It's also interesting how Vaishnavas see the death, because for many people, if we hear word death, it smells bad. It's not pleasant. It's like whole word is taboo, especially in Finnish culture. People not speak about that, and media has difficult times when they had to speak about death, like Corona time. At one point, people become so distressed they start to complain. Stop this news about so much death. We don't want to hear, so they stopped. We don't hear much. But then again, and the next crisis coming, next crisis, and inevitably you have to speak about it. But still, people always, it's very unpleasant. But for devotees, different. Devotees see it as a meeting. Death is not negative thing, but it's positive thing. I'm going to meet with Krishna. He's not seen as a problem. He sees it as opportunity. Actually, whole life of devotee is preparation for that meeting, for this final test for the death. And Bhishma Dev is speaking to Yudhishthira, said, look at me, what happens to me? I followed Dharma perfectly. And what happened to me? Now I'm dying here, so much suffering, I lost my reputation, I lost everything, all my relatives, all dead. Everybody. There's only who survived. And you see, but I see it's perfect arrangement of Krishna. What happens, it's all perfect. And how it is, because you see, yogis, they strive countless lives just to see the Paramatma, to see the Lord in the heart of they, in of the life to see the Lord. But you see, Yudhishthir, Krishna came on my deathbed. He's here, he's just in front of me. That's Partha Saradhi. Krishna is a warrior. And it's interesting, even Arjuna, he couldn't see this wonderful future of Krishna. Krishna is warrior. Because Arjuna was fighting with Krishna together on battlefield of Kurukshetra, but Krishna was in front of Arjuna, and Arjuna was behind. So Arjuna only saw the back of Krishna, but when Krishna at one point protecting from Bhishma saw the Krishna, who was a warrior, Krishna protecting, but Arjuna couldn't see that because he was on the back. So Bhishmadev is very much enlivened and very much happy. He was in bliss, in his own Ananda, laying on this like arrow of bed of arrows and seeing Krishna in front of him. And you understand it's so perfect. What happens in my life? It's all arrangement of Krishna. Even so much troubles was there, but ultimately it's all good. So in some way, devotees should learn from these lessons how to really see Krishna's hand in everything and trust Krishna to really develop this faith that all these good and bad things in this world is actually meant to teach us something. And somebody may say, oh, unfortunately, this world full of miseries. Oh, it's fortunate. We see different. Fortunate is so much miseries. So we can really learn and we actually understand this world is not meant for us ultimately. Even in mode of goodness, even in best possible way, still it's all temporary. So we should really become serious and sincere and enthusiastic in devotional service to Krishna and perfect our life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions or comments?
I have one question.
Yes.
During this war, Krishna gives an option to both Kauravas and Pandavas to choose either me or my Narayani Seva. Then Duryodhana chooses Narayani Seva.
Yeah.
And they all get killed.
Yes.
There's a story that all the Brahmins were killed. Were Narayani Seva was also demons, or is it that somebody has to be killed, or some innocent has to be died? Was that the case?
Very good question. As we know, according to scriptures, we can have our own opinions, but there's opinion of scripture which is higher than our own opinions. So, according to scriptures, everybody died in battlefield of Kurukshetra, except just a handful of people. As we know, Pandavas are there, and like Bhishmadev, he died after that because he also had one of the boons. He died after. But of course, there was a lot of innocent people, and this army of Krishna, which Duryodhana got from Krishna. It's a very funny story how they got it, because Duryodhana was thinking, for alliance, and there was at one point they were just sending people around the world, please come on my side, and Maharaj Yudhishthira tried his best, but they only get 8 Aukshahinis, and Duryodhana he got it 11, which is like all in all was something around 600 million people. It's a horrible number of people. If you've seen, no world war was yet there. It was biggest battle in the history, and at one point, like last king to get on his side, it was Krishna. So both Duryodhana and Krishna, Duryodhana and Arjuna, they went to Krishna. And Duryodhana was thinking, oh, Krishna is sleeping. So I'll stand in his near his face. When he wakes up, first he will see me. He'll open his eyes, as closer I get to his face, it's better. But Arjuna was thinking, like, I take shelter of Krishna. I just stand in his where his feet is. So Krishna woke up, and not normally, abnormally, he was not looking in the sides, but he was looking just in front of him, to his feet, and he saw Arjuna. So he saw Arjuna and said, "Oh, Arjuna, you're here. Very happy to see you. What are you doing here?" And then he turned left and Duryodhana, he also came. Then said, "Okay, because at first I saw Arjuna, so I will fulfill his request." And then Duryodhana was in fear. He was saying, "What will happen? Now he will get Krishna on his side." And Krishna said, "But I have only options. Even I give you my whole army, was it like 1 million of these Narayana soldiers who are equal in power as me," Krishna said, "or you can get me, but I will not fight. You choose." And Duryodhana had a bet, very intense times there. But because they've been following still culture of conduct, they was following that. So, okay, Arjuna is first. So Arjuna, after not much contemplation, said, "Krishna, I choose you," of course. And Duryodhana was laughing. He was like, "Arjuna, you're stupid. Why don't you take my army?" He was very happy. He went with his whole army, thinking, "And now I'm gonna win. I have one more Aukshahini of soldiers on my side. I will kill this Pandava." But it was true. So the moral of that, of course, they cheated many kings because of political reasons. Many innocent people also was fighting, but they was so innocent after all because they choose their own side. It's our choice always what we choose, and we can say, "Oh, I've been innocent, I've been cheated," but come on. Still is our choice. It happened in Madhya Purushat. Of course, like soldiers, you can see and personal level how much innocent people was there. They're just following the order. Even the commander, like Bhishma, he was innocent person, but still because he was make this vow to protect his throne, he didn't want to fight on the wrong side, but he fought. So even in this life, if we maybe end up on the wrong side, but it doesn't mean that we cannot have devotion to the Lord. It's this very kind of complicated, but it's all of this story that even Pandavas is very dear to Krishna, and even Yudhishthira, somebody said, but he was fighting against Pandavas, but still Yudhishthira was still as same dear to Krishna as Pandavas. Even he was on the wrong side. But he was doing it as his material duty, but his consciousness was always God consciousness, Krishna conscious. So it's a little bit complicated for us to understand in our, a whole verse today was speaking of dualities, how to transcend them. So this is what actually Bhishma Dev is teaching, that we should go beyond that and to really transcend our mind impressions of good and bad, because ultimately we should please the Lord. That's ultimate. It's very beautiful, this chapter, when he's leaving the body. It's the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, but especially if you go to Mahabharata, this whole big discussion of Dharma, and which is Yudhishthira is hearing from Bhishma Dev. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yes. So let us end here. Thank you so much for your participation. Gratharaj Shri Mad Bhagavatam ki. Gratharaj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki.